While exploring the Bretons of France, I was able to learn a lot about the culture and society. The earliest record account of contacts with the Bretons comes from a traveling geographer in the 4th century BCE. Although there may have been earlier contact, this is the first record that remains. When referring to the people, the Bretons are a Celtic ethnic group located in the region of Brittany in France. Their heritage comes from southwestern Great Britain, specifically Cornwall and Devon. The flag is called Gwynhadhu, which means white and black. The Bretons often say that this is the only black and white flag in the world. The flag is not only used by cultural associations and autonomous, but really by everybody, and this quite often you can even see on town halls in the region. For the location, the peninsula of Brittany lies at the northwestern tip of France. The Bretons first arrived there in the 5th and 6th centuries AD. They were then independently governed until 1532, when they were formally annexed to France. The region is isolated geographically and divided into subregions of Upper and Lower Brittany. Lower Brittany in the west is linguistically Breton, while Upper Brittany in the east is linguistically French and Gael. The Breton language was once a symbol of nationalism and therefore was perceived as a threat to the French unity, even though Celtic languages had been spoken widely within Western Europe before the expansion of Germanic and Roman-speaking populations. Today, Breton is a Celtic language spoken in the Brittany region of France. Because Breton is not recognized by the French government as an official or regional language, it is now endangered. Since the 1990s, the Bretons are focusing on preserving their unique culture and language rather than on political separation from France. One major reason for a decrease in the number of Breton speakers is social and economic developments. Most Breton speakers were farmers, fishermen, and people in the rural areas. Breton was affected particularly by economic changes such as migration towards the cities in the last 30 years. When referring to politics, religion and government often clashed. Republicans have described the Bretons as rude, barbaric, superstitious, isolationists, and who practiced for diversion rather than from conviction. In the 1890s, the issue was resolved. Since the early 1970s, Brittany has experienced a tremendous revival of its folk music, along with flourishing traditional forms such as the bombard banouper and fest-noz ensembles incorporating other additional instruments. It has also branched out into numerous subgenres. Social change in Brittany has moved at a rapid pace since the 1950s, and those who have lived there through the intervening period have participated in two strikingly different worlds. The installation of running water, electricity, and indoor plumbing has made the rural life significantly easier while decreasing the need for assistance. Changes such as paved roadways, construction of highways, and car ownership have increased. By 1975, 53% of Britons owned a car and 11% owned more than one car. Although not major, these changes in worldviews have influenced younger generations today. Brittany is an important agricultural area in France. Following several decades of change and modernization, farming is efficient and productive, dominated by the raising of pigs, poultry, and calves. Cereals and forage crops are grown largely to meet the needs of livestock farmers. Cuisine is very unique in Brittany. Usually characterized by its simplicity and the quality of products used, Breton dishes have benefited from all the riches offered by the natural environment. Some typical Breton dishes are crepes and gaillettes. Seafood is very common because of the many fishing ports and extensive coastline of more than 1,000 miles long. Most of the tourism, as well as the daily events, happen in the coastal areas of Brittany. The werewolf superstition was prevalent in Brittany as well as other parts of France. The term means man wolf and was applied to a man supposed to be temporarily or permanently transformed into a wolf. The two types were voluntary and involuntary. The Bretons are Roman Catholics with minorities in the Reformed Church of France and non religious people. Every town has its patron saint, represented by painted wooden statues that decorate the region's many churches. People pray to saints for special alignments. Education is an important factor in a culture because it helps with necessary skills and advancement. Most Breton schoolchildren and young people, while identifying with being Breton and supporting the language regeneration effect, have never been taught in or about the language at school. The Breton fixation with death and the dead has been remarked upon by a number of observers. People believe that the dead live lives just as living people do, except they are in a different community. Death is believed to be when people retire and return into the community in which they were born. While studying the group of Britons in France, I was able to learn that a lot of Europe groups don't want to be assimilated by each other, as well as learn more about the Bretons, as I hope you did from this Pichakucha too.